Hey guys, today we are going to look at some of the a little bit more difficult version of elimination where you may not necessarily have a pair of opposites right away. So let's go ahead and zoom in on this first one. So same rules apply as they did. Oh, sorry, my screen just went all crazy. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so same rules apply as yesterday. I still need to make sure that both of my equations are in the same order. So I want x, y equals some number, or whatever form they're in, they just need to match. So in this case, and I believe throughout this worksheet, they will already be in the same order. Just make sure that you're keeping that in the back of your mind. You need to make sure that they are. And then in the last session, you already had a pair of opposites. So if I look at the x's, for example, I have a negative 7x. I wish that I had a positive 7x on the other one. I don't. Okay, well, let's look at the y's. I have a negative 2y on top. I wish that I had a positive 2y on the bottom, or the other way around. I have a negative 8y on the bottom. I wish I had a positive, I'm sorry, I have a positive 8y on the bottom. I wish I had a negative 8y on top. It doesn't matter where the opposites are as long as it's the same variable. So right now, I don't have any pairs of opposites. The way to get there is to take one, or sometimes we'll have to multiply both equations, probably going to do that tomorrow, by some number to get a pair of opposites. So I'm going to tell you what the plan is for this one, and then I'll kind of walk you through how we get there. All right. I'm going to do it with the y's. If I look at my y values here, they are not opposites right now, but it would be pretty easy to multiply the top equation by some number so that it does become a pair of opposites with the bottom one. So what I mean by that is, couldn't I take negative 2 and multiply it by 4, and then it turns into a negative 8, and then it would be the opposite to the positive 8y. So that's kind of the goal. That's what you're looking for, and that's why I'm dealing with the y's. If you look at the x's, if I tried to do that same thing with the x's, what would you multiply 2 by to turn it into a negative 7? There is a value, but it's a fraction. Do you want to go down that road? No, of course not. So really what I like to do is look at the smaller of the two, ignoring the signs, right? So I'm just looking at the numbers 2 and 7. So if I just ask myself, okay, is there an easy way for me to turn that 2 into a 7? Can I multiply it by some number easily? The answer is no. So then I look at the y's. So I'm looking at the 2. Okay, is there an easy way for me to multiply 2 by something and get 8? Absolutely, I can multiply by 4. So that's my goal, and that's kind of my thought process, how to get there. So how do you do that? You can't just take a negative 2 and randomly multiply by 4. You are not allowed to do that. That would violate all the rules of math. But what you can do is you can multiply both sides of an equation by some number, right? Think about it. If I had something like, I don't know, two things that were equal to each other. A is equal to A, of course it is. If I multiply both sides by 4, aren't they still equal, right? 4a is still equal to 4a. So as long as I'm doing the same thing to both sides, everything stays equal, okay? So that's sort of the mentality here. So here's what I'm gonna do. I am going to take my top equation and I'm going to multiply it by 4. Every single term is gonna get multiplied by 4. Even over here, that's a common mistake. Sometimes kids forget to multiply the right-hand side by 4. Everybody gets multiplied by 4. That's the only way that you maintain the sanctity of that equal sign. Okay, you got to multiply everybody. So I'm going to write my new equation over here. So 4 times negative 7 is now a negative 28x. Don't forget your variables. 4 times negative 2y is now a negative 8y equals 4 times 20, 80. Okay, my second equation, I'm going to leave it exactly as it is. I'm just going to rewrite it over here so that I'm all lined up. 2x plus 8y equals 24. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you are at a point that's exactly the same as you were at in the last session, because now you do have a pair of opposites. right? The y's are going to cancel out. So now you're just going to add these two equations together. Negative 28x and 2x is a negative 26x. The y's cancel. 80 and 24 is 104. And now I'm just going to divide both sides by a negative 26. Okay. That's going to come out to be a negative 4. Awesome. So now, just like yesterday, once I get one variable, I'm going to go back to one of the originals. Doesn't matter which original you pick. I'm going to pick the bottom one here just because it's got a little bit smaller numbers, I think. Oh, maybe not. Oh, it's fine. So now I'm going to plug in the x value I just found. 2 times negative 4 plus 8y equals 24. And now I can just solve for y. Add that 8. 24 and 8 is going to get me 32. Divide by 8. Y is 4. So just like with my other systems, negative 4, comma, positive 4. You always give your answer as an ordered pair, x, comma, y. All right, you can check these, take them, plug it in, make sure that they work in both. Okay, but that's all there is to it. So if you don't already have a pair of opposites, you're just going to multiply to get one. So let's check out the second one. Okay, so here I checked that my equations are in the same order. They are. Oh, geez. I'm trying to zoom in a little bit more. There we go. They are in the same order. And I don't have a pair of opposites right now. Negative 8x and a negative 10x. But look at the y's. I have 9y and 9y. It would be so convenient if one of them was just a negative. Well, let's make it that way. I'm just going to, and it doesn't even matter if you pick the top equation or the bottom equation. It's totally up to you. I don't know. I'll take the top equation. No, let's take the bottom one this time. Why not? We did the top one last time. So I'm going to multiply that one by negative 1. So that means every single term gets multiplied by a negative 1. Okay, so over here, let me just recopy this one as it is. Negative 8x plus 9y equals negative 26. And then this one, I'm going to multiply everything by a negative 1. So now I'll get a positive 10x minus 9y equals a positive 28. Okay, now I'm ready to add those two equations together. I'll get positive 2x there. The y's cancel. And then negative 26 plus 28 is a positive 2. So now I can just solve for x. I got 1. Okay, so take one of your original equations, doesn't matter which one. I'll take the top one just for funsies. And now I can go ahead and replace x with 1 because I know what it is. So that's just going to be a negative 8. I'll add 8 to both sides. So 9y is now going to equal negative 26 plus 8 is a negative 18. Divide both sides by 9. So it looks like y is a negative 2. Put my answers together, 1, negative 2, and I'm done. Okay, so I hope that you find this method kind of fun. Let's take a look at number 3 here. All right, they're all in the same order. I have no pairs of opposites. Oh, okay, this is actually a great one to look at. So if I'm just looking at the x's, I like to take the smaller of the two, so the negative 1. And then I ask myself, is there a number that I can multiply negative 1 by to get me the opposite of this guy, which would be a negative 4? Yeah, I could just multiply by 4, can't I? Right? If I multiply that top one by 4, that's going to turn the top value into negative 4, which is the opposite of the positive 4. So yeah, that's a really easy option. But you might, oops, how did I get here? Sorry, okay, there we go. I hit the undo button one too many times. You might be looking at the y's and you might be thinking, well, it would be just as easy for me to multiply the top equation by 3 and then my y's are going to cancel because this y right here would turn into a -3 and that would cancel out with a +3. It doesn't matter. You can either cancel the x's or the y's. It is 100% up to you because they're both just as easy as each other, right? So it doesn't matter. You choose. I'm just going to choose the top one. And I'm gonna, well, of course we're gonna multiply the top one, but I don't know, I'll cancel out the x's. So I'll just multiply everything by 4. So my x's are gonna cancel. You're more than welcome to cancel the y's instead. Like I said, it does not matter. They're both just as easy. So it's gonna give me a -4x minus 4y equals 36. And then on the bottom, I'm just going to leave that one as is. 4x plus 3y equals -28. I'm ready to add them together because I have my pair of opposites. -4x plus 4x is gone. -4y plus 3y is a -1y. 36 and a -28 is a +6. So that means divide both sides by that -1. Positive y is -6. All right, great. I have that. And I'm actually going to pick the top equation again to solve for x because I want to sort of drive a point home. So now that I know that y is -6, I'm going to plug it in right here and solve for x. Please be careful. See how it's negative? I'm subtracting the y, and y is a -6. So it's really minus -6. So what does minus a negative really become? Plus, right? So now let's go ahead and -6 from both sides. Divide by that -1. So I get x is going to be -3. Okay, so now I have both. So my answer is a -3, comma, -6. Okay, we'll do one more together and then I'll leave you to it. Okay, so here I'm looking, everything's in the same order. I don't have a pair of opposites. Let's kind of see if I can get there. So if I look at the x's, I'm going to take the smaller one, 3, right? And it's already negative. So is there a way for me to multiply 3 by something and get 6? Yeah, I can just multiply by 2, right? So if I multiply the bottom one by 2, that should turn the bottom one into a -6, which will cancel with the top. So that's probably going to be my best bet because if I tried with the y's, there's nothing easy to multiply 3 by to turn it into a 5. So I'm not even going to touch it. I don't need it. Let's just multiply this bottom one by a +2. And then that will create that -6 right there that I need. And that's exactly what I want. So I'll rewrite the top one just like it is. 6x plus 3y equals 27. And then the bottom one, we're going to multiply all by 2. So that's -6x minus 10y equals -6. Add those equations together. X's are gone. 3y and -10y is a -7y. 27 and a -6 is now a +21. Divide by -7. Looks like y is going to be -3 in this case. So almost done. We're going to go back to one of our originals and we'll plug in the y value of -3. I'll just use the top original. Why not? I know what y is now. It's a -3. So 3 times -3 is now a -9. Add that 9 over. 27 and 9 is going to get you 36. Divide both sides by 6. Looks like x is just 6. So now I have my answer, 6, -3. Okay, hope this helps. Reach out if you have any questions. Please do the rest for your assignment today.